Trice, real name, no gimmicks.
Hey guys, first of all, happy Valentine's Day. We hope you have a great day filled with love and candy, I guess. I don't really know. Anyways, for today's episode of No Gimmick, we are going to be talking about unsolved murder cases, and we're gonna just kind of tell what happened, and then we're gonna say what we think happened. So I have 4 cases, and you guys don't know what they are, so pick a number between 1 and 4.
3.
This is what we're gonna start with. Okay, I was hoping you would start with this one. So this one is called The Boy in the Box.
I've heard this one.
Have you heard about this? Okay, so it was finally solved after 65 years, apparently, but I still don't think it was solved because I don't think that what they think happened actually happened. Okay, so February 23rd, 1957, a student at LaSalle College noticed a boy in the box, or the boy in the box, for the first time. So the student was in the area hoping to meet a girl or something, but he saw a box just under some fallen down trees. And he saw the boy's head, and he thought it was just a doll. And so then when he heard about how there was a missing kid, he went to the police and said oh, I found something. So basically, the police responded to the scene, and they found a body of a boy between the ages of 4 and 6 years old in a JCPenney box that had once contained a bassinet. He was naked and wrapped in a flannel blanket, and investigators determined that he was malnourished and had been beaten to death. So then they were trying to identify who this boy was because he was beaten so bad no one could see who he was. Also, there's pictures too, so I don't know how these pictures got online. You can't see anything, but that's the box and everything.
This was
That's
65
crazy.
years ago?
65 years ago.
Think about how tiny he had
What
to be
year
to
was
fit in the
that?
box,
Was there
too.
cameras then?
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. Okay, so then for the next 6 decades, detectives, they questioned thousands of people and tried to figure out who this boy was. So he had sandy hair, and it had been just clumps of hair were missing, but there were just clumps of hair that were still on his body. And so people think that the killer tried to disguise his identity. There were also scars on his ankle, foot, and groin that appeared to be surgical, and his feet and hands were pruny, suggesting that he'd been in water. Okay, so here's some theories that people think. So, the first, also this is a picture of what they think he looked like. They tried to do a facial reconstruction.
Turned off.
Oh, my computer literally has been
It looks
broken.
Young Sheldon.
It does.
Isn't that crazy? Okay, anyways. So basically, wait, let me go up real quick. All of this information is coming from a website called allthat'sinteresting.com, and this website is actually so amazing. Okay, so one of the leads, it seemed very promising. So the first one, she came in 1960, so 3 years after it happened, and while she was attending an estate sale at the foster home, she noticed that there was a bassinet that looked like the one sold at JCPenney, and the blankets that had been wrapped around the boy were the same ones that she saw. So he thinks that the boy had been the child of the owner's stepdaughter, and they believe it was a dead end. They think it wasn't actually true. So then 40 years later, in 2002, a woman identified as M told investigators that the boy had been purchased by her abusive mother from another family in 1954, and M claimed that his name was Jonathan and that he had been physically and sexually abused by his mother. After he vomited up baked beans one night, M claimed that the mother had beaten him to death in fit of a rage.
Wait, this is the little boy's brother talking?
This is
The girl, the stepmom or something
Yeah.
that had him, her daughter, right?
yes.
Yeah.
It it's
crazy.
you know.
To a 4 to 6-year-old for throwing up baked beans.
I know.
Kidding?
Fake
That
things are
poor
nasty.
kid.
But so then reports said that the story that M told seemed like credible because baked beans were found in his stomach. And also M said that her mother had tried to bathe the boy after beating him, which could have explained his pruny fingers. But ultimately the police were unable to prove her claim. So basically, in December of 2022, they finally gave him a name. Literally 2022, 2 years ago, and this happened in 1957. His name was Joseph Augustus Zarelli. This is what he actually looks like.
That picture was really accurate.
It was accurate. It's
Aw.
crazy.
He's cute.
Have you seen the people who make those pictures? I see
Mm-mm.
them all the time on TikTok.
Yeah. That'd be
It's fun.
I don't even.
Not fun.
I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Oh, so the police they had a bunch of questions still to ask about his the boy's life, and they aren't releasing the names of his parents because they want to respect his siblings that are still alive today, and they don't want people to be oh my gosh. Anyways,
Wait, how'd they figure out his name?
I don't know. They did, and I don't know. It doesn't say in here.
And how come when he went missing, none of his parents
Is there a study out?
Well, his
No.
parents are probably the ones that abused him.
Yeah.
So.
Anyways,
were his parents not together, right? Because it said he had step.
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. So basically, it's still an active homicide investigation to this day. Even though they said it was solved, it literally isn't. And they just need to figure out his story. But this happened so long ago. There's no way that you can figure this out. There's no way.
There's no evidence that's left in
Person is dead by the time they
I know.
find out who did it.
Wait, so 65 years ago would be 1960, 1959.
There's something.
1957
Yeah.
was when he was found.
But
Yeah,
I feel
that
like
person was already
the
older
evidence
then.
they have probably sucks now because the technology's advanced so much, kind of thing, where it's
Yeah.
they've got nothing to go off of.
But he still has family that's alive.
Mm-hmm. But it's not it's not the people were actually
He would be what 65?
Oh, yeah.
He'd be 70 now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's so sad, actually.
It's sad, and I think it's crazy how a lady talked about how she thinks that the mom beat him because he threw up baked beans, and how baked beans were found in his stomach when he was found dead, and also that the mom or the stepmom tried to clean off his body before putting him in the box and throwing him in the woods because she didn't want to leave anything behind. That
Yeah.
that's the only solid evidence they have is the pruny hands and the baked beans.
So was that girl there when her mom literally killed the kid?
I don't know. I thought that she
That
said
would've
that's
been
what
so
she thought.
traumatizing.
I know. That'd be horrible.
Well, imagine all the stuff that goes on that you don't even know, that doesn't even get reported.
Mm-hmm.
This is 65 years ago, and you don't even know for
Yeah.
sure what happened.
Yeah.
Imagine the stuff that no one even heard of.
Yeah. Okay. Any last comments on this one?
Don't eat baked beans for dinner.
Don't throw up baked beans. That one's just so sad because it was a 4-year-old boy and he was literally just found in a box.
Yeah.
Literally they couldn't even identify him because of how bad he was beaten. Okay. Guys, pick a number 1 through 3.
I'm thinking one.
1?
One.
1? Okay.
Yeah.
So this one, I don't know if you guys heard of it. Her name is Elizabeth Short, also known as Black Dahlia. Okay, so this case is still unsolved to this day. They have no idea. So basically, on January 15th of 1947, 22-year-old aspiring actress Elizabeth Short was found brutally murdered in Los Angeles with her body cut in half and a really weird smile carved into her face. So the murder, also known as Black Dahlia, is one of the oldest cold cases in history. It's very difficult to solve because of many reasons. Okay, so basically this was her. That's what she looked like. Okay. So, let's see. Okay, so on January 15th, 1947, her body was found in the Los Angeles neighborhood of Leimert Park. And the first person who reported the site was a mother out for a morning walk with her child. This is literally her body right here. I don't know how this is able to be in, like, anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, but guys, it gets really, really, really gross. Okay, so according to the woman who, like, saw her, the way her body had been posed made her think that the corpse was a mannequin at first, but a closer look revealed, like, what had actually happened. So she had been sliced into, this is kind of gruesome, by the way, so very sorry about that.
Trigger warning.
Yeah. So she had been sliced in two at the waist and completely drained of all of her blood. Some of her organs, like her intestines, had been removed and neatly placed under her buttocks. Pieces of flesh had been cut away from her thighs and breasts, and her stomach was full of feces, leading some to believe that she had been forced to eat them before she was killed. The most chilling, however, were the lacerations on her face. The killer had sliced each side of her face from the corners of her mouth to her ears, creating what's known as the Glasgow smile. People think that she was killed elsewhere and then she was, like, dumped in the park. So near her body, they noted a heel print in a cement sack with traces of blood that had been used to transport her body to the vacant lot. The police department reached out to the FBI to help identify the body by searching their fingerprint database. Short's fingerprints turned up rather quickly because she applied for a job as a clerk at the Commissary of the U.S. Army's Camp Cook in California back in 1943. Her prints turned up a second time since she had been arrested by the Santa Barbara Police Department for underage drinking 7 months before she applied for the job. They had her mugshot from her arrest, which they provided to the press, and her mom didn't find out about her death until the Los Angeles Examiner telephoned her pretending that she had won a beauty contest.
That's messed up.
Yeah. They, like, asked the mom a bunch of questions, like, all the details they could get, and then they revealed that she had been murdered and her corpse had been dismembered in unspeakable ways. This is a very gross picture, but this is, if you guys want to see it, this is, like, what...
I'm not looking at that one.
That's crazy.
It's kind of scary and it's very sad. Okay, so as the media learned more about her, they began to brand her as a sexual deviant. So one police report read, this victim knew at least 50 men at the time of her death, and at least 25 men had been seen with her in the 60 days preceding her death. She was known as a teaser of men. So they gave her the nickname the Black Dahlia because she would wear a lot of, like, black clothing. And some people spread their false rumor that she was a prostitute, while others baselessly claimed she liked to tease men because she was lesbian. According to her mystique, Short was reportedly a Hollywood hopeful. She had moved to Los Angeles just 6 months before her death and worked as a waitress. Sadly, she had no acting jobs known, and her death became her one claim to fame. Okay, so they received a few clues. So on January 21st, about a week after the body was found, the Examiner received a call from a person claiming to be the murderer, who he said would be sending her belongings in the mail as, like, a proof of his claim. So on the 24th, so 3 days after, they received a package with her birth certificate, photos, business cards, and an address book with the same name, Mark Hansen, on the cover. Also included was a letter pasted together from newspaper and magazine letter clippings that read, Los Angeles Examiner and other Los Angeles papers here as Dahlia's belongings, letter to follow. So all of them had been wiped down with gasoline, so there were no fingerprints. Though a partial fingerprint was found on the envelope, it was damaged in transport and it was never able to be analyzed. On January 26th, another letter arrived. This note said, here it is, turning in Wednesday, January 29th, 10 a.m., had my fun at police, Black Dahlia Avenger. This letter included a location. Police waited at the appointed time and place, but the author never showed. Afterwards, the alleged killer sent a note made of letters cut and pasted from magazines to the Examiner that said, have changed my mind, you would not give me a square deal. Dahlia killing was justified. Yet again, everything sent by the person had been wiped clean with gasoline, so they couldn't find any fingerprints. At one point, they had 750 investigators on this case and interviewed more than 150 potential suspects. They heard more than 60 confessions, but none of them were actually legitimate. Okay, let's just skip
They
on.
had people confessing to.
I mean, people will do anything
Killing
for
her?
fame,
Yeah,
falsely confessing.
yeah.
That's crazy.
People
Yeah.
are psychotic.
Why would you put yourself?
I don't know.
That is the most
That's messed up.
Okay,
And the fact that like they didn't even believe any of them either.
mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Why would they leave a random body in did you say it was a park?
Yeah, but there's a few possible things. Okay, so this is the man who thinks that his father killed Elizabeth Short. So shortly after his father's death in 1999, Steve Hodel was going through his dad's belongings when he noticed two photos of a woman who bore a striking resemblance to Elizabeth Short. After discovering these images, he began using the skills he had gained to investigate his own deceased father. He had a handwriting expert compare samples of his father's writing to the writing on some of the notes sent to the press from the alleged killer. The analysis found a strong possibility that his father's handwriting matched, but their results were not conclusive. So the crime scene photos showed that her body had been cut in a manner consistent with I don't know how to say this. I'm going to just try my best. Hemicorporectomy, a medical procedure that slices the body beneath the lumbar spine. His father was a doctor who attended medical school when this procedure was being taught in the 1930s. Additionally, he searched his father's archives at UCLA, finding a folder full of receipts for contracting work on his childhood home. In the folder, there was a receipt dated a few days before the murder for a large bag of concrete the same size and brand as a concrete bag found near Elizabeth's body. By the time he began his investigation, many police officers who originally worked on the case were already dead. However, he carefully reconstructed conversations these officers had about the case. Oh, and then while fact-checking the book, someone went to police files, and George Hodel, so the guy who they think murdered, he was such a serious suspect that his home was bugged in 1950 so the police could monitor his activities. Much of the audio, you couldn't really hear what they were saying. But one thing really stood out, and it said, woman screamed again. It should be noted the woman had not heard before the scream. Later that day, he was overheard telling someone, realized there was nothing I could do, put a pillow over her head and cover her with a blanket, get a taxi. They thought there was something fishy. Anyway, now they may have figured it out, killed her. He continued, supposing I did kill the Black Dahlia, they couldn't prove it now. They can't talk to my secretary anymore because she's dead. So that's kind of crazy that that all happened and he said that because
I think he just confirmed it.
he probably did.
Okay, also, I don't get fingerprints because if you put gloves on, do the fingerprints on the gloves not get transferred onto things?
I don't know.
Gloves are thick enough that it'll just smooth it all out. What do you mean?
No, when after you touch the glove to put it on, your fingerprints are now on the glove, right?
I think it's hard to tell with softer surfaces kind of thing. I think obviously if you press into a piece of paper or something, it has a chance of leaving an indent or something. I don't know. I think that's how it is, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Makes sense.
So here's another suspect. His name's Leslie Dillon. I'm just going to try to summarize this one. So basically, back at the time, the police had him as the number one suspect for this crime, but they let him go. Anyways. Okay, so basically, wait, what? Oh, he was a suspect that he was the owner of the address book that had been mailed to the examiner after she died. He later claimed that he gave the address book to Short as a gift. So Short had reportedly stayed with Hansen a few nights, which is, his name's Dylan also. Well, it's Dylan Hansen, but
Yeah.
And he was one of the last people reported to have spoken with her before her death in a phone call on January 8th. Apparently, Hansen was infatuated with Short and came onto her, though she rebuffed his advances. Those are some big words. Then he supposedly called on Dylan to take care of her. Previously, Leslie Dillon had worked as a mortician's assistant where he could have potentially learned how to bleed a body dry. He also discovered that Dylan knew details about the crime that had not yet been released to the public. One detail was that Short had a tattoo of a rose on her thigh, which had been cut out and shoved inside her.
That's weird.
Yeah. Okay, so
Why?
he claimed to be an aspiring crime writer and told authorities that he was writing a book about the Dahlia case, but he was never charged to the crime, which is crazy. Another discovery that led to this was there was a crime scene found at a local motel. This guy came across a report by Astor Motel owner Henry Hoffman. The Astor Motel was a small 10-cabin facility near the University of Southern California. On the morning of January 15, 1947, he opened the door to one of his cabins and found the room covered in blood and fecal matter. In another cabin, he discovered that someone had left a bundle of women's clothes wrapped up in brown paper, which was also stained with blood. Instead of reporting it, he just cleaned it up, not thinking anything of it. First of all, if you see that, report it to the police. You should not be cleaning that up.
You just find a room
What
of
did
blood.
they happen?
I don't know.
I'm not one to just clean up someone else's mess. Like, I
Yeah.
don't care what it is, especially blood.
Yeah.
Or like find a room full of blood and bloody clothing, and you're just like, oh, this is fine.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Maybe she's in on it.
Yeah. Okay, so people think that this motel is where she was murdered, which, like, okay, that kind of,
Yeah,
Those look like the first store for oh my god. The first story motels, not hotels, motels.
Yeah.
I feel like you're asking to get murdered staying at one of those.
I agree.
I don't know.
Okay, so basically, eyewitness reports that they claim to have seen someone who resembled Short just a couple days before the murder, or before she was found, and that's literally it. Like, okay, so do we think it was this guy's dad or this other dude who?
I kind of think it was the dad.
I think it was the dad too.
Because mostly convincing is the bag. Like, who else needs a concrete bag, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, like, the fact that he
It's
was
the
like,
same exact one too.
yeah.
I'm just confused how the Dylan Hansen guy or whatever knew these details about it before the police even released it. Like, is he?
True.
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe he just has an in with the police and heard it through that kind of thing, or a
Mhm.
rumor. But it just seemed weird that he knew all this before thing.
These
Mhm.
are scary.
I know.
Makes
Right.
you never want to.
I know. I think it was the dad because the whole thing with his house and how they were hearing what he was saying and everything.
I also think
There's no way it's not the dad.
I think it's too convenient that he was in medical school and learning the same procedure at the same time. too,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
No, all of his stuff is just too convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it really realistic for someone to go clean up a room of blood? Come on now.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay, guys, thank you for listening. We said we were going to do 4. We're actually only going to do 2 this week, and we're going to save the other 2 for a part 2 next week. So, if you enjoyed this, tune in next week for part 2 of Murders.
All right. See ya.
Peace out.
Hi guys.
Bye.